Do you believe that the future can be changed?
That's quite the sudden question. I think that it can.
Is that in my memory? This has happened countless times already.
Mind the blind spot.
I only see these misfortunes. Why can't I even have a sliver of happiness? Foxy, the fissure that we're looking for is up ahead.
Quick shot. Adjusting for wind. I've heard the conduit. He won't back down.
I think it's about time.
We should take that lady out of the hollow. You guys go on.
Thank you. She gave us the intel we needed, so this is the least we could do. I hope everything else goes well for you. Master Proxy, is there anything you'd like to know? You can just ask.
I'm curious about your story, Vivian, but we can talk more once you feel ready. Don't worry, I'm very patient.
You're the first person to ever say that to me. I'd be happy to share my story with you. These premonitions I see are not within my control, and they always come to me in a flash, like a flood of images in my mind. Most of the time, I see death, disease, accidents, and disasters. Of course, there are also some non-fatal mutilations. But every time, without exception, they end up happening. And I can never prevent or change them. That's all I have to say about it. If that offends Master Proxy and you don't want to hang out with me anymore, then I can understand.
Why would I be offended? That's just who you are, Vivian. Besides, we're friends.
I've always considered this ability as a curse.
It's not a curse. Actually, I think you've been given a gift.
Thank you. Really. Well, it's getting late. Bringer's belongings ought to be around here somewhere. Let's take a closer look. Looks like it isn't in here. Strange, there's nothing in here.
Is that all?
This is it. This notebook is what Bringer left behind. But I don't know what these markings on it mean.
Well, hello, Master Proxy. It's been a while. Oh, don't give me that scandalized look. I did just save your lives.
I would have protected the proxy even if you hadn't appeared.
I'm sure of it, but I happen to be in the area. Worry not, dear companion. I have complete confidence in your strength.
Hang on. Did you say companion? So you two know each other?
Apologies. I didn't have a chance to mention it before. I'm actually part of the Phantom Thieves Syndicate, Mockingbird.
That's right. I was only able to slip in during the auction thanks to some help from Vivian backstage.
So the whole time you were only bidding on the collections so you could get backstage and tamper with things?
I warned you before. You can't rely on appearances.
Don't worry, Master Proxy. We don't have any ulterior motives here. As you've probably heard, Mockingbird is a renowned Phantom Thieves syndicate in New Eridu that, despite its longevity, has managed to maintain the secrecy of its members' identities to this day. So, disclosing our identities to you is essentially the highest sign of good faith that a Mockingbird Phantom Thief can show.
I guess that makes sense.
Your trust is most appreciated. Mockingbird's purpose is very simple, really. To form long-standing and cooperative relationships with outstanding proxies like yourself.
We need your abilities.
Before you make any decisions, please allow me to briefly explain the concept behind the Mockingbird Syndicate. We all know there isn't anything in this world that's fair. A prime example being the uneven distribution of wealth. People from tops splurge on luxurious collectibles, while the poor have to gamble with their own lives just to get by. Of course, besides wealth, there's also an unequal distribution in this world of happiness and suffering, hope and despair, love and hate. It's all just so unfair. Somebody has to do something to tilt the balance of the scales. And thus Mockingbird was born. We take from those who have far more than they deserve and give it to those who deserve to have more. If you ask me, that's enough to be considered a form of justice.
All right, that makes sense. I can agree with that.
Thank you. I knew if anyone, you'd understand. However, aside from these philosophical considerations, we also have a crisis on our hands to deal with. As you know, the Exaltists are plotting to use the power of sacrifice to launch an attack on all of New Eridu. We can provide you with all the latest intel, just like that notebook you found. Something those pompous housekeepers would never be willing to do. And the most crucial part of this whole game, the sacrifice core, is currently in my possession. I think that makes this a highly competitive deal. We share the same goal for the moment, stopping the impending disaster from playing out.
I need some time to think about it.
How about this? If you still have misgivings about our upcoming cooperation, Then why don't you bring Lycon along with you? He's got the support of the mayor's office behind him, and his presence alone is enough to keep me in check. That would put you more at ease, right? Of course, you're welcome to bring some other friends along, provided they aren't from public security or HSO.
Well, if you're willing to let my friends come along, then you've got a deal.
Great. It's a deal. By the way, Proxy, this is for you. Consider it a souvenir commemorating our first time working together.
For now, we'll carefully look through the contents of that notebook. I'll contact you if anything comes up.
How about it? Will you work with me?
Not bad. Let me be honest with you. I have the sacrifice core that you're after. I am Mockingbird.
So it's you. I never thought you'd be so bold as to come see me alone.
Relax, my friend. As you know, if I can sneak into such a heavily guarded auction, then naturally, I can just as easily slip away right now. I'm here with the sincere intention to seek cooperation. I can give you that sacrifice core.
And what do you want in return?
Wealth, glory, power. The things everyone else in the world wants, I want them too. And I'm confident that as the current heir to the Ravenlock family, those are all things you can give me.
Then you've certainly come to the right place. My family is working on a big project. If things come to fruition, Ravenlock's status in Tops will significantly improve. At which point, I'll be sure to leave a spot for you. Naturally, as an outsider, you're precluded from handling any of our core business. But profits from the scraps alone will be enough to set you up for life.
Mr. Hartman, I think you've misunderstood me. I have no intention of joining the Ravenlock family. In fact, I have an art gallery under my name that does pretty well for itself. I was hoping you could recommend me for Tops.
You want to join Tops? That's easier said than done. Even for a family like ours, it would still require significant effort and...
Just answer me yes or no. I don't think either of us can afford to waste time.
I understand. Yes, you have my word. But in exchange, you'll have to give me the sacrifice core first.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I can't. I've already hidden it somewhere safe, a place nobody else but me knows. You don't want to put all your chips on the table when dealing with Tops. I know that far too well.
Then that means I also need to keep an eye out when working with the infamous Mockingbird, right?
Mr. Hartman, I should remind you that I stand before you undisguised. Coming from a phantom thief who's never publicly revealed his identity, shouldn't that be sufficient assurance? If I betray you, then you merely need to lift a finger to wipe me from the face of this world.
You do make a valid point there. In that case, you have a deal.
I appreciate your trust.
Why don't we celebrate our new partnership with a toast? Having a drink before undertaking anything important is a family tradition. It's good luck.
As an outsider, it's a real honor.
By the way, you aren't the only member of your organization, are you? Shouldn't all your companions agree to this deal first?
You don't have to worry about that. I'll make sure she agrees. Otherwise, I'll get rid of her too.
Seems you'll do whatever it takes to get things done. Great things lie ahead for someone like you. All right, let's leave it at that for today. I'll contact you about what to do next.
the one who killed Serena!
She was the only one who was ever any good to him, right? That's how he repays her?
That's why they say once a mongrel, always a mongrel. Just look into his eyes.
Father! We have to punish him!
Serena had been ranking ahead of him. Hugo must have poisoned her water so he could pass her.
Pure evil. Typical for an impure bloodline. He should have been kicked out ages ago.
Hugo, did you do all this?
Yes, it was me. I killed her.
He admitted it! Father, he must be expelled!
He has no right to live under the same roof as us.
Why don't we reunite him with Serena then? Nobody would ever know.
Hugo, well done. My children, how many times have I told you before? In this world, only the most ruthless, cruel, and unscrupulous of people ever make it to the top. Like Hugo here, who is willing to murder his only true loved one without a second thought. Only someone with the means and the gumption to do that is qualified to be my heir.
But I...
It's all over now, and the results are obvious. The winner of this month's assessment is Hugo. As for the rest of you, go to the usual place for the punishment you deserve.
But Father, before this, I was number one.
As I've told you before, there's only room for one winner in this family. You're still a loser even if it's by the smallest margin. And there's no reason for a loser to exist. This is all for your own good. Do you understand? Go on now. Receive your punishment for the sake of the family.
Yes, I understand. I'm sorry.
That really brought up some unpleasant memories. It won't be long. Soon, it'll all be over.
Thank you for escorting me here, Proxy. The day was quite eventful. If I were to head back now, I probably wouldn't be able to fall asleep. You're a child that only brings misfortune. People have been saying that about me for a long time. I used to feel hurt and resentful. But now that I think about it, it's perfectly normal for people to react that way. Why do I only predict suffering? If I could predict happy things, joyful things, would people like me a little more? Maybe fate truly is set in stone. Often, I want to help these people avoid their miserable fates. For a time, I even thought that I was successful, that I could change people's destiny. But it was all an illusion. In the end, I couldn't do anything at all. So, I was really happy when you said that my abilities weren't a curse, but a gift. Thank you, Proxy. I'm so glad to have met you. And you're also a fan of Lord Phaethon. It's like we were fated to meet. I don't know why, but I feel completely at ease when I'm by your side. I feel like I'm free from judgment, from blame. Like, I don't need to worry about anything, and can just be my own true self. Perhaps people really do possess an aura, and ours just so happen to be extremely compatible. By the way, you asked me before about Hugo. I don't really know much about him. He rarely ever talks about his past. But judging from his eye colors, you can guess he's probably the bastard son of a renowned family. I think his mother was very worried about his different colored eyes, and even wanted to get rid of him at one point. But then his family offered a huge price and bought him off his mother for some reason. And just like that, he moved from a leaky and drafty boarding room to a luxurious mansion. But he's also mentioned that the extravagant home is actually like hell for him. I think it's probably because the family treats him terribly. I digress. He ran away and ended up meeting Lycon and his master. After that, they formed Mockingbird together and experienced a rare period of happiness. Until Lycon's betrayal.
So, what's your take on Hugo?
I imagine I would still be wandering around now if I had never met him. To me, Hugo is just like an older brother. I've always felt as though he's carrying some heavy burden with him. But that's a secret he's kept to himself. Something he'll never tell me. Sometimes when I look into his eyes, I can feel that he's really struggling with something. Even though he may say some extreme things, Hugo really isn't a bad person. I think one day he'll tell me his secret. Until then, I just have to wait. Wait and trust him.